Doing a little exploring today. Made my way out to a lake that I'd found on the map, and this is my first time being here, but I'm gonna go ahead and make use of this water, and while I'm here, do a quick whetstone necklace knife sharpening tutorial. Like I said, this is my first time out here. It looks like somewhere in this lake there's a beaver. Got some beaver chew sticks around. We've also got a bunch of the invasive apple snails. So this is kind of a medium-sized one here. They get even bigger, but I think most of these are just dead shells. So they're in here somewhere. You can actually see their eggs the way you know if you have apple snails. They lay these pink egg clusters on the branches just above the water level, and so you can see them down that way on that tree, and then all these little stumps and knobs over here covered in pink eggs. This is the Viking Whetstone pendant, and I've also got my Firecraft necklace on. I'm going to use a combination of these two to do the sharpening today. What I'm going to be sharpening is just my everyday carry because that's what I've got on me. So I use this blade a lot. It ends up opening boxes and all kinds of stuff. So there may even be some adhesive on here, and that's one of the reasons I like starting with the ceramic on one of our fire starter necklaces, is it's non-absorbent, non-porous. So if you have any sort of gunky adhesive stuff, this will kind of scrape it off without absorbing it, and then you can wipe it off of here. If you have some nasty gummy type things and you try to go to the whetstone, it's possible you get some of that gummy stuff kind of absorbed in there. Typically the oil from your skin is already going to have absorbed into this a lot and kind of sealed the stone, so it may not be an issue after long wear. But the other reason I like going with the ceramic starting out is that it's harder than steel, and if you end up with any burrs or large imperfections on the blade, kind of gives you a quick rough sharpen, and then you can use the Viking to hone it in. Again, it is possible to do it entirely with the Viking, but because I have both of them, I'm going to go ahead and make use of both of them. All right. So starting off here with the ceramic, you just want to try and line it up with the edge that's there and just run it along. It's up to you whether you use the long flat edge, this edge, or the straight edge here. And just like when you're striking the fire steel, you don't want it to be exactly 90. You want to kind of lean it forward a little bit so it actually cuts and removes material. So for me, I find it a little easier if I go with this back edge, get a better feel for where it's lined up. Just do a couple passes on each side. I don't know if you can make out, but there was actually some look like gummy type residue coming off of there. See a little built up on here. And what I'm doing is I'm feeling as I go. So as I'm coming through here, right in this area, I'm catching a couple of rough spots. So that means there's some sort of a burr or an imperfection in that area. So I'm just going to keep passing over that until it smooths out for me. And that way I'm removing that larger material or more material with this edge before transitioning over to my other whetstone. Alright. So right now it's feeling nice and smooth. Try and do an even number of passes on the same side, and I keep getting lighter and lighter as I go. So early on I'm kind of pressing to remove that material. Then as it starts to smooth out, I'm loosening up the pressure and just doing kind of a light glide over it. Just removing any other adhesive or gunk that might be on there. Give it a quick look. Alright, I'm going to switch over to the whetstone. Mine's been worn quite a bit, so it's got that nice oily patina to it, and that's just from body oils and stuff. Might seem kind of gross, but it actually helps protect the stone and really brings out a lot of the colors. This, once it's oiled up like this, it doesn't quite absorb water as well, And a lot of people will say once you put oil on it, you can't go back to water, and vice versa. Well, sorry, not vice versa. If you stick with water initially, you can go back to oil, but if you go oil first, you can't do water because it doesn't absorb into the stone the same way. What I've found is the body oils don't necessarily affect that as much, since this is a field sharpener. It still has the same grit, and what you want to do is actually create a water slurry on the top, and that just helps prevent the metal shavings from getting stuck in the stone. So I'm going to go ahead and get this wet to start out with. And if you can let it soak, that might be better. But I've got a little water pooled on there now, and I'm just going to try and keep it wet as I go. So if I notice it drying out, I'm going to go ahead and just re-wet it. A couple of things here. If you want, you can kind of bundle up the cord around your fingers so that you got a good purchase on it. You can use it just like this. Sorry, my cameras keep getting out of focus here. This works pretty well even if you have blade towards your hand, because if you slip this way, it's going to catch that leather cord before it comes up to your hand. So don't put your hand up in front of that, but that'll act as a little kind of protective stop there if you should need it. But you should be doing light, small motions to where you don't need to do all that much work. So you can hold the stone and do circular motions with the knife. Likewise, you can hold the knife and try and do circular motions with the stone. Or if you got enough of a small blade and the talent to do it, you can try and do some more precise draws across the stone. I'm still a novice at all this, so my goal is to make it sharper than when I started. And I tend to do a combination of the circles while holding the stone, and then I'll come back and really kind of refine with circle on the blade. That's just what I find works for me, but I'm gonna go ahead, maybe even time lapse this, we'll see, and try and get this nice and sharpened up for you. Note when you're doing it this way, doing the spirals, again, make sure to keep your fingers tucked back so that you're not wrapped around like that and accidentally gonna cut your fingers. So keep your fingers tucked back around the knot, and that way you're not gonna cut yourself. So it's back to being pretty darn sharp. The other thing that you can do with this is probably going to be hard to show here with the tripod. See if I can get myself framed up. But because this is leather, it's not going to be, again, as perfect as having an actual flat strop. But just as a field expedient method to strop the blade and get it slightly sharper, or even as a way of maintenance, I'll show you a quick tip on doing that in the field. Alright, so I find this works a little bit easier if you have a log or something, but again, we're improvising with what we have, and I got a little flat spot in the dirt here. So all I'm going to do is just lay this down on the ground, and I'm going to kneel on the stone portion. So that'll lock that in place, hold the other end with my hand, and then I can take my blade and carefully, without cutting my leg or my hand, kind of do some passes across the leather. Do nice, slow, and controlled. You don't want to, make sure you got a good grip on that first. Not trying to cut the leather. Obviously you don't want to do that, but this is a field expedient method. So it's now a 3-part system that I have on my neck at all times. So I've got the ceramic striker from my fire starter necklace. The Viking Whetstone itself is my sharpening or honing stone. And then the leather strap acts as a strop. Hope you enjoyed the video. Give us a like if you did, and subscribe if you like what you're seeing here. We got a whole bunch more videos that we're going to keep doing. Again, trying to put one out every week. And if you got any questions, leave them in the comments below, or reach out to us at info@wazoosurvivalgear.com. And stay tuned for some big updates coming on the website. So we'll catch you guys in the next video. Have fun. All right, admission time. Like I said, I'm a novice at doing all this, and while I was testing how sharp it was there at the end of the video, I managed to cut myself. So it's I think it's sharp, and just goes to show that you never stop learning. And like I said, I'm always out here practicing skills, trying to get better at what I do, and hopefully that incentivizes you guys as well. You know, don't cut yourself and you're already doing better than me. So get out there and practice some skills.